I'm getting a lot of DMs recently with people worried about sperm count dropping. And I kind of think I know why, because you get like a lot of articles talking about it. The New York Times recently released one. Tim Pool, Mini Binny, also talked about it on his show. And it culminates with this article from the BBC saying that it could make humans extinct. Yeah, sure. Definitely could. Absolutely. When I was at med school, we were talking about what we're going to specialize when we graduate. And one of the teachers heavily suggested that we should go into fertility clinics because there's a lot of money to be made there, and it's indeed the job of the future. You're always going to need fertility doctors and fertility research, especially. Now, there is a reason why this is happening because you get like all sorts of people. Some of them even think like governments are trying to suppress the population. And with Boris Johnson's recent speech talking about how global warming can be fixed if we have less people, it's not difficult to see where this misinformation is coming from. The reason why the sperm is dropping has to do with capitalism, believe it or not. So there is a multitude of factors, as usual. It's not just one issue. But if you look at the fertility and the sperm count, you're going to notice that in capitalist nations it's dropping, but in other nations, like for example, Africa, it's not dropping. And as I mentioned before, it's a multitude of reasons. So one of it is that when people are well off, when they're doing well, they're having less kids. Usually people who are doctors, lawyers, people who make a lot of money, they're going to have one, maybe two, at most three kids. While if you look at people who are impoverished, people who are doing not so well, they have like 4, 5, 6 kids. So that's one of the reasons why the population is in decline, but that doesn't explain the sperm count. So let's talk about the sperm count. In order for the body to produce healthy sperm, you need vitamin D. Vitamin D isn't just about getting it from your diet, it also requires sunlight. Now, think about the life of a person who lives in a city, especially someone who lives in an apartment building that doesn't get a lot of sunlight exposure because maybe there's another block right in front of you. So you stay at home all day, stay at the computer, then you go to work in your car, and then you stay at the office, and then you return back home. So you get barely any sunlight, meaning that a lot of people can have vitamin D deficiency. I personally didn't realize just how deficient I was until I tested myself. And the test is kind of expensive. I mean, it's not going to bankrupt you, but it's not cheap either. And I was worried. I thought I am an outlier, but the doctor told me that no, like a lot of people who are testing themselves for vitamin D, they find out that they're deficient. And you also need to take into account that you're going to be more deficient during the winter because there's less sunlight and that causes more deficiency. However, this is something that's very easy to be fixed. You can change your diet and you can get more exposure to the sun. Now, other reasons might be greasy foods. They also affect the testosterone. And yet again, you have the office worker, goes out, works 12 hours, comes home, throws a burger in the pan, puts some french fries because he doesn't have the time or the energy to cook. It's that one greasy meal a day, and there you have the dietitian freaking out. Other issues that contribute negatively to sperm counts, obesity. And so the obesity epidemic is an actual problem, and it negatively impacts sperm count as well. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the sitting position. Now, obviously it's fine to sit. Humans have an us, which is designed to do that, but if you sit all day, well, you're in big trouble because a lot of people do just that. They go home, they sit at the computer all day, they go to work, they sit their ass in a car, they reach the office, they sit down in a chair, and they sit and sit and sit and sit, and that's a problem. Now, take into account that this doesn't just affect sperm count. Okay, like the main thing is that it affects testosterone, which in turn affects the sperm count. And I remember there were a couple of BuzzFeed journalists a couple of years ago, and they did some tests for Deleuze, and people were shocked to see just how dangerously low their testosterone levels were. I think only one guy was just a little bit above normal, but like every single other BuzzFeed journalist, in my opinion, should have gotten to see a doctor. Like they should have gotten to an endocrinologist. This is not the laughing matter, okay? A lot of people treat this in a hilarious way because you're talking about reproduction and testosterone and whatnot. I'm telling you, I have seen patients who suffer from low testosterone. Low testosterone gives depression, gives low energy, gives very little drive. So it's not like the depression that you see on Tumblr or on Twitter. It's the type of depression that like you don't feel getting out from the bed that day. Like you don't really feel like doing anything. And in certain cases, you have patients that even refuse to bathe because they just, it's not that they don't know how to, it's just they don't feel like getting out of bed and do even the most minor tasks. So it's life crippling. And the patients who do manage to find out that they have this problem and then talk to a doctor and get on a treatment plan in order to fix this problem, they come back and they say that their life has changed so much for the better. And you also need to think about it this way. Like, if you are an infertile guy, it's also going to be very difficult maintaining a relationship because you may find a very beautiful girl that you love and you can hook up and everything. And then one day the conversation happens. She finds out you can't have kids and maybe she wants to have kids. And for a lot of couples, that may be a deal breaker. So what is the treatment plan? Well, there's two things that a doctor will suggest to you. So the first one, after doing the tests, if a doctor considers that you do require testosterone because you're under the limit, they will suggest either injections or there's some type of cream that you can put on yourself, or there are some patches. I personally don't like this because once you start taking outside testosterone, then your body is going to stop producing even the little amount that you normally would produce taking exogen testosterone. So this should be only like a final solution because at the end of the day, it's up to the patient. I don't like this. Like the best solution that I would recommend to people is to work out, to get your own body to start producing it again. And to do this is to avoid all the things that I previously said. So don't sit your ass on a chair all day. Just do some exercises. Get up, walk out a little bit. Do some juggling, do some sports. Try and change your diet. Eat 3 meals a day. I know it's very difficult. I personally, I find this the worst hell on earth. I can possibly suffer a diet by eating less. But the thing that really gets me is when you have to eat 3 meals a day. It's very annoying. I know it's time consuming. And then you have to balance the meals. Like if you eat meat, you also need to eat some vegetables next to it. So not only do you now need to cook the meat, but you need to cook some fiber. You need to make a salad. You need to put some asparagus in that pan. It's a life changing, okay? Like it's a new lifestyle. You can't just do this for a couple of months and then be done with it. So yeah, I mean, this is why, this is the reason why all the Western nations are suffering from infertility crisis. But if you look at other nations that are more impoverished, how do the left put it? Developing nation, that are going to keep developing for the next 100 years. Those do not have the same problem because the people there, they do a lot more of manual labor. They work in the field, they toil a lot, so they're much stronger. They do the exercise, they stay in the sunlight, and because of that, they do not face the same first world problems that people in the United States are facing with. So yeah, I mean, I hope I managed to educate you. It's not my job to educate you, as the leftist says. But I don't think I said anything that people don't already know. It's like, okay, have a healthy diet and work out. Yay. Um, I just think like a lot of people don't expect that these might be the consequences. So they think it's like, okay, well, I'll just continue this lifestyle, and what's the worst that can happen? I can get a little bit chubby. Okay. Yeah, there can be other consequences as well. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.